Today's New York Giants Now episode by Chat Sports is presented by 8 Sleep. Go to 8sleep.com/Chat Sports and get $200 off plus free shipping. Invest in the rest that you deserve. We'll tell you more about 8 Sleep around the corner, but let's dive into it as we have a perfect mock draft for the New York Giants on tap for today's video. This is a what would Marshall Green do mock draft if he was the general manager for the New York Football Giants. We've done so many mock drafts trying to project what the Giants would do, reacting to what other analysts say the Giants are going to do. But I'm going to sit in the seat of Joe Schoen, and I'm going to make the picks, and I'm going to call it a perfect mock draft for Big Blue. I think it's smart to set the stage by letting you know what draft picks the Giants do have coming up in the draft, as we are less than 3 weeks away. We are officially less than 3 weeks away from NFL Draft Day 1 being here. Giants own the 6th pick in round 1. They got pick 47 in round 2, and then pick 70 in round 3. You have 3 top 70 picks. The Giants need to hit on those. You also got an early pick in round 4 at 107, pick 141 in round 5, and your last pick of the draft comes at spot 183 in round 6. The players that I'm going to be looking to draft for this team are going to be the best player available. That's how I believe you draft, but I also think that positional need, also positional value factors into the equation you're trying to come to a result of when you are trying to select a player. I believe quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, defensive line, and offensive line are the biggest needs right now for the New York Giants. We'll get into the mock draft around a second, but first, I want to get the word out about New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm asking everybody watching today's video to share this video on Twitter. Click the share button. It looks just like that. It's right underneath me. Select the X or Twitter icon. Click post to Twitter or X and tag me at @MarshallGreen_, and I'll give you a retweet, and I'm going to give you a shout out on the next New York Giants video. Draft season's around the corner. We're the #1 channel on YouTube that will cover that for Big Blue, and we're trying to get the word out, and we need your help. So share this video to Twitter, tag me, I'll retweet it, and I'll give you a follow back. Alrighty, mock draft underway. We did use the Pro Football Focus simulator for this, trying to keep it as realistic as possible. And I think I got started off on the right foot where Caleb Williams goes #1 to the Chicago Bears, and Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner, goes #2 to the Washington Commanders. Draft, it feels like, really is going to start at #3, whether the Patriots trade down or just select a quarterback. And in this simulation, they stuck and they picked Drake May, QB out of North Carolina. So then you're supposed to have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock, but actually J.J. McCarthy, he went, just not to the Cardinals. He went to the Minnesota Vikings. Kwesi, he trades up to pick #4. He gives up pick 11 and 23 and the 2025 first-round pick for Minnesota. I could have moved up to pick #4, but I think giving up 2 future first-round picks to move up 2 slots to select J.J. McCarthy doesn't really match with the way that I value him in this draft. So then the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock at #5. And if you're looking at this board right now, you're saying, well, there's still 1 guy, maybe 2 guys left on the board that could be a Hall of Famer. And that's why I am picking up the phone. I'm calling Harbaugh, and I'm seeing what it would take to jump just 1 spot in the NFL draft to go and get Marvin Harrison Jr. Because I believe he is that special of a player that it is worth trading up 1 spot instead of just sticking and picking at 6 and letting Malik Neighbors fall into your lap. I do have MHJ as my #2 overall player in this class. And this is what the trade value chart says it would most likely cost for the Giants to move up. You would send pick #5 as well. You would send pick #6 and pick #70 to LA. And then the Chargers would send you pick 5 and pick 105. So you move up 1 spot in the first round, and then you move down 35 slots, pretty much a round in round 3. The reason that I like this deal is because you're not losing any picks. You're moving up a spot, and then you're moving down later in the draft, and I want to keep as many picks as the Giants have right now to select quality players to improve this team. I'll ask you, though, would you make this trade to move up to go select MHJ Maserati Marv at pick #5, or do you stick and pick and just select the best player available then? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Would you make the move to go up 1 spot? Let me know. For me, I'm making this move every single day of the week. The fact that I don't lose a pick, the net picks is even, and I have the opportunity to draft a potential Hall of Famer in Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm pulling the trigger. I believe he is special, and I believe he is the best wide receiver draft prospect that we have seen in quite some time. He reminds me of a more athletic and a more vertical passing threat of A.J. Green. And A.J. Green's going to go to the Hall of Fame. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr., if he lands in the right spot, stays healthy, and the Giants get a quarterback one day, he could be on his way to having a bust in Canton, Ohio. The dude is unbelievable. 28 touchdown grabs in the last 2 years, over 130 grabs total, more than 2,500 yards when it comes to receiving. He's a big play threat. He could do it all. 16.4 yards per catch last year, 18.1 yards per catch this year, over 100 yards per game. He is a special, special prospect. I know a lot of people are like, Marshall, why didn't we just stay at pick 6 and select Malik Neighbors? And I'm not going to be mad at anybody that believes that. And look, if it happens like that, I'll be okay with it. So I think Malik Neighbors is going to be special as well. But I believe MHJ is going to be a generational prospect. A lot of people are like, Marshall, he is so much better, he being Neighbors, at yards after the catch. Well, yards after the catch per reception for MHJ were 6.4 and 6.6 for Malik Neighbors. Also, if we define explosive play as 15-plus yards over the last 2 years, Marvin Harrison Jr. has 68 chunk plays created. That's 47% of the time. And Malik Neighbors has 66. Also, this comes from my guy on Twitter, says, even underlying numbers reflect Harrison Jr.'s ability to create explosive plays. He recorded an explosive reception on 8% of his routes in his college career, a number that ranks in the 98th percentile. He's just as explosive as Malik Neighbors. He's just 6'4". MHJ could be a top 10 receiver in the National Football League after his rookie season. That's how special of a player I believe he can be. Will it be a little bit tougher with a guy like Daniel Jones? Maybe, but I believe you're setting the table for 2025 when you could have a quarterback show up and eat a 5-star meal. Getting a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. and not having to sacrifice any number of picks, I think makes a lot of sense. We'll get to more picks coming up in my perfect mock draft, but I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, 8 Sleep. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and save $200 off and get free shipping. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. The Pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. In addition to keeping you at a perfect temperature all night long, the Pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, Pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the Pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the Pod cover by 8 Sleep. Invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Everybody's going to thank me later. Check them out. It's changed my life. It could do the same for you. Go to this link, 8sleep.com/chatsports, and get $200 off plus free shipping. Because we love and care about you, we'll make it clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. So in round 1, you trade up from pick 6 to 5. You get Malik Neighbors, and you just fall back 30 picks in. You fall out of round 3, and you just go to round 4. So Giants are on the clock at pick number 47, and these were the best players that were available. Tyler Nubin, safety out of Minnesota. Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia. Braden Fiske, the interior defensive lineman out of Florida State. Javon Bullard, the safety out of Georgia. Jatavian Sanders, the guy that I am in love with. Just don't know if the Giants would select a tight end at this spot. Then you got Rook, the D lineman out of Clemson. He is rising up draft boards. You got potentially RB1 and Jonathan Brooks out of University of Texas. Chris Jenkins, one of the top run-stuffing D linemen in this draft out of Michigan. Christian Haynes, arguably the best guard in this class out of UConn. And the best corner left on the board, in my opinion, was Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. This was a really tough pick for me. I didn't really love where I was at. I flirted with the idea of trading down, but I decided to stick and pick. And according to my big board, Braden Fiske, the interior defensive lineman from Florida State, was the number 1 player on my big board. He also matches the position of need, the interior defensive line, and he is the guy that I am selecting at pick number 47. 6'5", 297 pounds. That's what kind of is, I would say, preventing him from being a number 1 overall selection. You look at the measurements that came in at the combine, they really had him at 6'3.5" and 292 pounds. They worry about his arm length and his size. But when you talk about physical freak, when you talk about someone that is an athletic wizard, that is what Fiske is, running a 4.7 40-yard dash over the 90th percentile. He had an RAS score of 9.89 on a scale of 1 to 10. He jumped out of the gym when it came to the vertical and broad jump. He is an explosive athlete, and he plays the game the right way. He's got a high football IQ. He's got great technique. He's also someone that has an elite motor. He doesn't stop until the echo of the whistle. He also can create pass rushing success. He can create pressure from inside the D-line. 28 pressures this year at Florida State. The prior 2 years at Western Michigan, more than 80 pressures. He had 6 sacks this year, 6 sacks last year, 9 tackles for loss this year, 12 last year. He loves to create havoc. He makes plays at or near the line of scrimmage at a very high rate. And I am building in the trenches on the defense. You got a guy like Brian Burns, just 25 years old. Dexter Lawrence, just 26 years old. Braden Fiske, a little bit older of a prospect, but he's ready to plug and play and be an impact player on day one. He's 24. And you got Kayvon Thibodeaux at 23 and Azeez Ojulari at 23. This would be one of the best up-and-coming, well, one of the best D-lines in the league, but also some with the best potential and the most firepower. So I'm going Braden Fiske, interior defensive lineman, at pick number 47 in round 2. So the Giants watch about 50 picks go by until they are back on the clock at number 105. And I'm looking at this team, and I still think needs could be the offensive line, maybe another offensive playmaker. You're looking at defensive back, safety, and corner. And the best player on my board was Dadrion Taylor-Demerson, the playmaking safety out of Texas Tech. Shout out to the Red Raiders. DTD, he is a special player. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Jalen Petrie in the sense that all he does is make plays. I think he's a little bit better in coverage than Petrie. Same kind of profile when it comes to size, but the guy is everywhere. He plays with great instincts. He can line up in the box. He can line up in the slot. He could play kind of on the line of scrimmage and create some pressure as well. And I think in a defense led by Shane Bowen that is going to run a lot of dime and nickel, ran more dime than 30 other teams in the National Football League last year, a guy like DTD could make a lot of sense because he could put so many hats on and affect the game in so many ways. And defensive playmakers, that's what I want on this team. Guys that make plays on the defensive end, he does that at a very, very high clip. Since you traded up in round 1, you did trade down in round 3, but you're back on the clock after pick 105, and you're on the clock at pick 107. And this was the spot I knew the Giants needed, at least the way this draft has unfolded, to go and address the cornerback position. And I may be reaching a little bit on this pick, but I love the tape. I love the upside. I love the physical traits, and I believe in the player of Cam Hart, outside corner out of Notre Dame. 6'2", 202 pounds. He's strong. He may have not tested all that well at the NFL Combine, but I love just the experience and really the upside that he has. He is a true outside corner. He's got the prototypical size, prototypical length, needs to be a little bit smoother with his hip movement and out of his pedal and attacking the ball, but I believe that can come, and I believe if he's coached up right by this Giants DB staff, he could be a guy that maybe we look back in 3 years and be like, he was maybe one of the steals of the draft. You look at how he weighed in and such at the Combine. They've got him at 6'3", 202 pounds. He had a vertical jump of 39.5 and a broad jump of plus. It is a massive broad jump, graded out as a 9.45. The 40 was a little bit disappointing at 4.5, not slow by any means, but some people thought he would test a little bit better. His 10-yard split, not the best, neither as his 20-yard split, and the shuttle was a little disappointing, especially the 3-cone. But the play speed, when you put on the tape, I think matches up to the NFL level, and this is a traits pick for me. 6'3", 200 pounds, explosive athlete when it comes to vertical and broad jump. I think his playing speed is shown in a better way than his testing speed. I think with the right coaching and with the right teaching, this guy could potentially be an outside starting corner in this league. You're back on the clock at pick 141, and you still have some major needs. I think offensive line is still a need at this point. I think a guy maybe at the running back position could be a need. And the Giants got lucky in this one. Or I guess I got lucky because one of my top backs, Braelon Allen, was still on the clock at pick 141. And he is the player that I am going to be selecting running back out of Wisconsin. Dude is built like a brick shit house. 6'2", 250 pounds. The dude runs hard. If you try to bring him down with an arm tackle, you're going to be unsuccessful. I wonder if the top end speed is going to be great enough for him to be someone that is a home run hitter, but we talk about in between the tackles, getting those hard yards. A duo of him and Singletary, I think, could be really good. And I think that he's also going to get better in this league as he gets older. 6.8 yards per carry, 5.4 yards per carry, 5.4 yards per carry, 35 touchdowns in his career. 6'2", 250 pounds. Bring some of back that strength and downhill running to this offense. I think it makes a lot of sense. So you're back on the clock at pick number 183, and I believe this is the last one in this mock draft. It is, and I went in the trenches on the offensive line. I cannot believe that he was still on the board here. Zach Zinter, interior offensive lineman out of Michigan, and I can't believe that he is somehow falling in this draft process. I know we had the bad injury to close the season, but when you just watch him play, you feel his impact. And when you think about a Michigan lineman, it is Zach Zinter. In 650 snaps last year, 0 sacks allowed, 0 hits, 0 penalties. He is going to be someone that maybe needs a year to completely get over that injury. But when you talk about someone that at minimum is going to be a rotational player, that is Zinter. And I think he has starting upside. And I think he could honestly be a starter maybe as soon as year 2 in this league. He's a stud. He is a Michigan man, and he was coached up the right way. And I just love the attitude that he has, the love that was shown for him when he was injured. He was a leader for that team, and he was a part of an offensive line that absolutely dominated college football over the last couple of years. The Giants' interior offensive line got a little bit of a boost this offseason in free agency by signing John Runyon and Jermaine Illuminor, but I think more is needed. And getting a guy like Zinter at pick 180 like you did really, really helps out this team. So this is what my perfect mock draft came out to be. You get the best wide receiver in the draft, a guy that I think could be wearing a gold jacket one day. You get one of the most electric, athletic, game-changing interior defensive lineman in Braden Fiske in round 2. You get a player at a position of need with high upside in Dadrion Taylor-Demerson, the strong safety, free safety, whatever you want to call him, out of Texas Tech. You get a really high traits outside corner in Cam Hart. You get a plug-and-play running back in Braelon Allen, and you got to get a guy in Zach Zinter, who I believe has one of the highest floors in this draft and maybe the potential to be a starting offensive lineman on a really good O-line one day down the future. I want you to grade my mock draft for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Get out your red pen and let me know your grade for my mock draft. So you're going through these mock drafts, and you always have some wishes and some ifs and things you would have liked to have done differently. And for me, it just would have been addressing the cornerback position a little bit earlier, and that comes with a sacrifice of moving up from 6 to 5. And I understand some people said, Marshall, you shouldn't have done that. Just stick with Neighbors. But I believe when you get the best player in the draft at a position of need like that, I believe the gap between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors is large enough to sacrifice moving down 30 spots from round 3 to round 4. Would have liked to address corner earlier, but you're never going to get your team completely right in a mock draft. I would give myself a B+. Really love the pick of Allen and Zinter at that spot. I'm a big fan of Cam Hart. Going to need to develop more, but with the right coaching and the right teaching, I think he can get there. DTD is a playmaking safety, and I love Fiske and I love Harrison. I think they're two of the most pro-ready prospects to make an impact. But grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. And hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. We'll see you later. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon, and let's go Big Blue.